If you've never been to Philadelphia, then you're about to see why it's a must visit. From the cobblestone streets, rich history, and some of the best sandwiches you can get your hands on, we'll be taking you to the famous spots while also going off the beaten path to find some local favorites. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be planning your next trip here. Alright, let's jump into Philadelphia. Today we're in the city of Philadelphia and Pops is going to show us around the homeland.
This is the homeland, well, across the river from the homeland, homeland New Jersey.
Starting with his favorite coffee shop he frequented when he was a young child.
Menagerie.
We had a hotel in downtown Philadelphia, so we were able to walk to most of the early morning spots you'll see in this video, starting with Menagerie Coffee. This was a good spot for coffee and an even better spot for pastries, so it was a great way to start the morning. Alright Pops, what's the first thing we're doing in Philadelphia?
Having coffee.
Going to see the Liberty Bell.
Oh, okay.
Basically everywhere you walk in Philadelphia is historic, and so this set of buildings right here are the last remaining structures that were owned by Ben Franklin.
That's how his carriage would go in and out to his house through that gate, that archway there.
To let Ben Franklin inquire within. Philadelphia really is a history lover's paradise, as everywhere you walk in the downtown part of the city, you'll see plaques that tell you about what happened right where you're standing. From there we walked over to our first stop at the Liberty Bell, which is one of the most popular tourist attractions in the city, and we wanted to get there as early as possible to not have to wait in line to see it. A few facts about the Liberty Bell: it was commissioned in 1752 and it was originally hung in the steeple of the Pennsylvania State House, which is now known as Independence Hall. It's an iconic symbol of American freedom, and it's believed that it was rang during the first reading of the Declaration of Independence. There's many different stories about the large crack, but I asked when I was there and they said most likely it was just from 90 years of use in the Pennsylvania State House.
So when I was a kid, the Liberty Bell used to be in Independence Hall and there was like nothing around it. You go up and touch it and try to ring it with your fist or something.
There's also a small museum here with many different exhibits that talk about the freedoms that we've fought for over the years as Americans. I've heard it can take hours to see the Liberty Bell in the summer, but we came right when it opened and it only took us 2 minutes to see it. From there we headed across the street to Independence Hall. Since we were there early in the morning, you were able to walk in and explore a few of the buildings self-guided. However, if you want to see the main Independence Hall, then you have to get a ticket online, and this is the only way to get inside of Independence Hall. I dropped the ball on this one, but shout out to Pops who got us tickets to explore here. When we were there, you could explore one of the side buildings of Independence Hall, which talked about the Declaration of Independence and a few other items, and you could go over to the Congress Hall and walk around in there. The Congress Hall was definitely the best part, as this was the meeting place for the US Congress from 1790 to 1800. You could walk all around the main floor and then you could go up the stairs to see some of the committee rooms and other things that they'd recreated. There are a few docents here to answer questions, and it was just cool to be in such a historic spot. We explored for a while before it was time for a 30-minute tour to start. We're waiting in line to go inside of Independence Hall. I'm not going to go over all the amazing and detailed history that you can experience in these walls, but I will say that this is one of the coolest places I've explored in a long time, especially for history buffs. Our guide was fantastic, and he made the stories come to life as he talked to us in the 2 different rooms on the tour. Being able to stand in this building that was built in the 1700s and was where the Declaration of Independence was adopted and the US Constitution was drafted is just something that you have to experience for yourself. Once the tour is over, be sure to go around to the front of Independence Hall. Here you can see plaques that talk about where different presidents stood to give speeches, and you can see a statue in the front. One of the coolest plaques you'll see here is one that says the birthplace of the United States of America. Really unique history. This is the way it looked in 1950s, and then they basically cleared it all out to what it looks like now. That is an amazing tour, something you definitely should do when you're in the city. You can get reservations online. I will leave a link to that in the description. What do you think, Pops?
Yeah, it's such an incredible piece of American history. And as they said inside, that one room is probably the most important room in America, where everything happened. The Constitution, Declaration of Independence, incredible.
Let's head on to some museums. On the short walk over to Carpenter's Hall, you can see the Second Bank of the United States and the Philadelphia Bank. Then if you arrive at Carpenter's Hall when it's open, you can go inside and you can explore the meeting place of the First Continental Congress in 1774. It's actually a lot smaller than you'd anticipate, but it has some good exhibits here and it has docents who can answer questions.
This building that they're renovating behind us is the First Bank of the United States.
It's wild to see so many historic places right next to each other, and our next stop was at the Museum of the American Revolution. The Museum of the American Revolution opened in 2017. You can tell it's a newer museum because of the digital interactive exhibits they have all throughout it. It's easily one of the most visually engaging museums I've ever seen to learn about history. All throughout they have interactive exhibits, and they even have places where you can sit and watch a movie that feel like you're part of one of the integral battles. The museum is completely dedicated to telling the story of the American Revolution, and I wish I would have had a couple more hours to explore here. Also note that this is just one of the amazing museums you can see in the city.
Hey, we saw that place earlier.
Yeah.
Independence Hall.
Those guys weren't there though.
What'd you think of the museum?
It's a great museum. I love all the artifacts. It kind of walks you historically through everything so you get a feel for how things developed and everything. Yeah, I thought it was really well done.
If you're interested in the American Revolution, it's definitely the best museum probably on that you can find.
We had 2 more spots to visit in the Old City before exploring some of the more modern parts of Philadelphia, and the first was Betsy Ross' house. This historic landmark in Philadelphia is supposed to be where upholsterer and flag maker Betsy Ross lived when she sewed the first American flag. Whether or not she lived here while creating the flag is still debated by historians, but regardless, it's a beautiful piece of history that's well worth walking through and learning more about while you're in the city.
That is a tiny museum, but it was a lot of fun to learn more about the woman who supposedly created the American flag.
It was also really interesting that the grandson, I think it was just giving a talk somewhere and sharing that story about his grandmother making the flag, and it was like, whoa, nobody knew that, and that's what kind of started the ball rolling. We are in Elfreth's Alley, and you can actually buy a home that has been continually occupied since the time of our allegiance to the king.
Guess how much this home is going for right now? I scanned the QR code. 1, 2, 3. Pops, how much is it going for?
1.6 million.
Should we all band together and buy it?
Elfreth's Alley is supposedly the nation's oldest continuously lived-in residential street, dating back to 1703.
Yes, people really do live here and have since 1713. 29 of the 32 homes are privately owned. This is an awesome street, so picturesque and historic. Definitely don't miss this when you're in Philadelphia.
I loved this spot, and I wish I would have been able to go in one of the old homes and see them for myself. There is a museum located on the street, but it was closed when we went, and I've been told that they put on some pretty amazing holiday celebrations as well. Regardless of all of that, you definitely have to come and just walk up and down the street and take some pictures. It's beautiful every way you look.
All right, now we're heading on to get something to eat.
For lunch, we headed over to Reading Terminal Market, a love spot in the city that's been here since 1893 when it was actually located underneath the train station. The train station was relocated in 1984, but it's still going strong with over 100 vendors and everything you could possibly imagine to eat. And I have to say, if you're a foodie, then Philadelphia is one of the best cities for you. There is so much good food to eat here.
All right, this is called Tommy D. Nick's. It's the roast pork sandwich. It supposedly was the best sandwich in America in like 2014. So go for it, Pops. Let's try it.
Very good. Not like a huge, powerful flavor.
I would say this is a very good sandwich. I like that it has almost like a horseradish taste to it, and the meat inside is very good. I'm not gonna go best sandwich in America, but I'm also not disappointed. It's a good sandwich.
After sharing a sandwich, we decided we needed to go explore the market and find a few more things to try before we headed on. 2 of the foods that Philadelphia is known for are soft pretzels and Pennsylvania Dutch food.
Finishing our tour of the market with Miller's pretzels and the famous apple dumpling from the Dutch place, or something like that.
That is really, really good. The apple is perfect. Breading on the outside is amazing. Yeah, that's excellent.
The sign says this was voted one of the best desserts in Pennsylvania. No arguments. Incredible apple dumpling and incredible pretzels. Both good choices while you're in the market.
This is the money whooping pig. Ready to see it come out?
Right into the bottom. Philly has been really fun so far. That was a great place to go get food. Lots of unique options, lots of good things to eat. And now we're going up somewhere really high. And by we, I mean I'm going, and Pops is going to sit at the coffee shop.
On the way over to the next stop, be sure to go to the statue known as the Bond, which is George Washington and Benjamin Franklin.
When I'm talking about the high thing, I'm going to go up. It's City Hall, which is right there. But we have a little bit of time to kill first, so we're going to go to the Love Park and then go up.
One of the most photographed places in Philadelphia is the Love statue, which was installed in 1976. The statue is a permanent fixture in John F. Kennedy Plaza, which is also known as Love Park.
YouTube followers.
Pops loves you. So there it is, JFK Park, where the Love statue is. Now we're heading on to City Hall.
If you want to visit the top of City Hall, which you absolutely should, you need to get a ticket in advance, and when we went, it cost $16. The tower tour started from the City Hall Visitor Center, and it only lasts about 25 minutes. Alternatively, there is a longer City Hall tour that allows you to explore a lot more of the inside of the building if that's something you're interested in. The tour makes its way all the way up to the base of the City Hall Tower, and from there you actually have to get inside of an 100-year-old elevator that only 4 people can ride at a time. Even if I could have convinced Pops to get all the way to this part of the tour, there's no way he would have gotten the elevator, and I have to say, I was happy when the doors opened again as well. When we arrived, we were 548 feet up, right at the base of William Penn.
We've made it to the top. Excellent views up here. You can even see William Penn up there.
When you get to the top, the views are pretty great, and it's 360 degrees, you can see in every direction. Because they limited the amount of people that could be up here at one time, it felt pretty spacious as you were walking around and taking in all of the different views. You could even see Love Park below you and the art museum where Rocky runs up the steps. More on that later. We had about 7 minutes to explore before having to head down.
So we were all the way up there. That was a really cool experience. If that's something you're interested in doing, be sure to get the tickets in advance as they go pretty quickly, and it's definitely worth doing while you're down here. Some great views up there and cool history. So it's like 95 degrees with 75% humidity. It is very, very hot today, so we're going to get a Philadelphia staple, water ice.
No, that's not right. That's not right. Yeah, and it's Italian too. It's Italian water ice is how you say it. Water.
Water ice.
Regardless of how you say it, John's is supposed to be the best place to get it.
Outstanding. Like the lady said, you typically usually go lemon, but lemon and cherry are both good. But it's very good.
Don't put my thing down. She said lemon and cherry are both the most popular flavors.
What did I just say? Lemon and cherry?
You said I only could go typically lemon. It's like I haven't been eating cold things my whole life. I got a brain freeze and I'm this far in. That is so good though, especially on a hot day like today. It's like very small granulars of ice and lots of good flavor. The lemon is good and tart too. Definitely a win.
You guys know us, the heat and humidity couldn't keep us down, and so we're off to our next stop.
This isn't Pop's choice, but we are going to the Eastern State Penitentiary right now.
Eastern State Penitentiary was built in 1829 and it was ran until 1971. The jail was infamous because it tried a separate incarceration tactic, which basically meant that all of the inmates were in a form of solitary confinement. This is crazy to listen to the audio tour and to walk through some of these cells. Wow. This is a place you could easily spend a few hours, and they give you an audio tour that's actually narrated by Steve Buscemi. The prison was laid out like a wagon wheel with different spokes, and it could hold up to 500 prisoners in isolation. At first, people thought that the isolation was a great way to do prison, and there was 300 prisons worldwide that were designed after this one. But in 1913, due to overcrowding and the impact it had on the people, they abandoned the isolation system. This is actually a pretty heavy place to explore, especially hearing the different stories of the inmates that you can hear on the audio tour. And out in the back of the cell area, there's a big graph that shows how many people are incarcerated in the United States currently.
There's also a story about the governor's dog who killed his wife's favorite cat and was put in jail for life. His name was Pep.
He was a bad boy.
Of course, he didn't actually put him in prison. There was just a dog that was donated to be with the inmates. That's the update that they put on that. So it was just a good thing to help the inmates.
One of the last fascinating aspects of the prison is that it actually held Al Capone for some time. They showed what his cell supposedly looked like, and it definitely seemed like he had some ins with the guards. Check it out, Pep the dog provides dog treats if you bring your dog.
I mean, a fascinating spot. Old, the idea of penitentiary was penitence, that the people who are in here would repent and live a better life, whether that was true or not. A lot of the things with the silence and social isolation, that just wreaked havoc on people's minds. Probably good this place is closed.
Definitely take the time to do the audio tour though if you have it. It's so interesting to listen to. Here we are at our second to last stop. Pops is gonna run up the stairs in 100% humidity.
I know I've used the word iconic a lot in this video, but Philadelphia really is full of iconic spots, with the next one being the Rocky statue and the steps that he ran up in the movie. I can't play that here, but if you've never seen it, search YouTube for Rocky running up the steps and you'll probably find it.
All right, we got our Rocky photos, which you can see here. Only one last thing to do, and that's to run up the stairs. All right, here we go.
I have to say, one of the most fun things about this spot is just seeing all of the people enjoying running up and down the stairs. Where do you ever see that?
Well done, hot day.
That was challenging on a hot, humid day like this. Rocky's footprints, epic views of the city. I turned around and Pops is running. Here he is. He's almost made it to the top. Don't fall. Woo! Hold on, let me see some punches. There you go. Well done, Rocky Balboa, aka Pops.
It's not as hard as I thought.
The art museum is also at the top of the stairs, but it is closed today, so we're heading on to cheesesteaks. This is a really fun spot just to see everybody taking videos running up the stairs. I love it.
When you're a tourist in Philadelphia, there's basically only one place you head for cheesesteaks.
All right, cheesesteaks are an institution in Philadelphia, and one street corner has Geno's on one side and Pat's on the other. They've been competing for decades.
My dad got in line at Pat's, which is supposedly where the cheesesteak originated from, and I went across the street and got in line at Geno's. We both grabbed exactly the same thing and then brought it back to try. While cheesesteaks might not seem that important to you, my entire life has been defined by every sandwich we ever eat being compared to the Philadelphia cheesesteak. To my dad, it is the pinnacle of sandwiches and nothing can compare to it.
All right, so they look very different. There's the Geno's. It almost looks like it has more, grease or something on the melt. This one looks a little bit drier. Maybe a little bit less meat, kind of hard to tell, but they definitely have a different appearance. Pops, what makes a cheesesteak?
All right, critical things. I would say minimally 3 things. One, obviously, is the roll. The roll's got to be really good. If you look at these rolls, these both are of good quality. They're not too hard, but they still have a good crust on them. The second thing is the meat. It's got to be good meat, not fatty stuff, whatever. The third is the cheese, obviously, is critically important too. You want good American cheese. It's got a nice flavor to it. Grilled onions, got to have grilled onions. Sometimes I'm in the mood for mayonnaise on mine, although I'm in a minority with that.
If you have a good one, you shouldn't have to put mayonnaise on it. Where are you going first?
Don't tell me what to do with my cheesesteak. I can't see what the labels are, so I'm just going to tear one in half and bite it, and then go with the other one, and bite it, and then I'll tell you what I think. All right, so here's the first one. Bread is perfect. Meat is very good. I don't think there's any cheese on this. If there is, it's hard to eat.
Cheese. It's cheese right there.
It needs more cheese. I'll tell you that right up front.
Like, there's cheese on both sides of the roll, but not enough cheese for Pops. All right, let's see it. What's the second one?
both really good. I think between the two, I have to go with this one.
You're going Geno's?
Oh, is that what this is?
All right, Geno's for Pops. Even with the lack of cheese you complained about?
Yep.
All right, my turn. Those are very different looking cheesesteaks, as you can tell. Geno's and Pat's. I have no dog in the fight, so I don't care if I know beforehand. Good onions, good meat. I can taste cheese. Yeah, the roll is a lot more dry on this one. I would prefer it to be like this, a little bit more kind of juicy, and the roll is kind of almost moist and squishy when you're eating it. This one's much more dry, so I'm going Geno's as well.
Be sure to let us know which one of these you think is the best in the comments.
You know it wouldn't be a true video if we didn't try one more cheesesteak, though. We've been asking a bunch of locals. They told us to go to Jim's, so we're gonna go to Jim's now and try their cheesesteak.
Multiple people told us that Jim's is the best place to get a cheesesteak in Philadelphia, so we figured we had to go over there and give it a try. Geno's and Pat's are both thin slices of meat, where here they chop it up into small pieces and it's more of like a ground beef consistency. They then put cheese on the bread and basically melt the cheese directly into the meat before tossing on onions and finishing it off.
All right, that looks strong. We'll see though. We'll see if it's that much better or not.
Meat is chopped much more finely. The roll is way softer than in the other two places. So much moisture. The roll is perfect, real soft. Yeah, I think this would be the top of the three that we've tasted. It was really nice.
All right, my turn. I'm already excited about this. Look at those big old onions too. I love onions. It's interesting to have the meat like that. It's like a completely different experience than the way that it was chopped before. I'm not sure which one I would prefer. I like the way that it was before, and it's definitely a totally different feel. But I would say overall, the combination of kind of the moistness with the bread and the good strong meat and cheese, the onions, that's a pretty strong cheesesteak right there. All right, now it's your turn. Let us know how you prefer your cheesesteak in the comments and if we need to go to a different place next time we're in Philly. Also, there's ants climbing the building outside the window.
All right, for our last stop of the day, we headed down to the waterfront as I love bridges and I wanted to see the Ben Franklin Bridge, and we headed to the Cherry Street Pier. This spot has a cool history as it's one of the only surviving piers from the early 20th century. What's really unique about it now is that instead of letting it fall into disrepair, they actually created a cool artist in residency program here. You can apply to be one of the artists that revolve every year or so, and you can actually get an office space to work out of in this amazing location. When we were there was a taco truck that was selling tacos and margaritas, and there was an ice cream truck so you could grab some food and then just enjoy the views. And wow, are the views amazing here. You can see the Ben Franklin Bridge stretching out over the water, and you can see the remains of the old pier. It is such a cool spot.
What'd you think about this spot, Pops?
This is a really cool find. I knew nothing about this spot. Obviously, I knew about the Ben Franklin Bridge and the Walt Whitman Bridge down there. But just a really nice little spot. I love how it's got an artist community here and they're displaying their work. Really fun find.
Plus, they got tacos and ice cream that you can take and sit and eat out there if you want to.
Thanks for coming with us to visit Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a city I grew up close to, visited many times throughout the years. The food is amazing. The history is incredible. You got to come visit sometime. You will not regret it.
Let us know when we left off. We'll see you on the next one.